Welcome to the first ever episode of the Sadpad podcast, a podcast where I sit down in a Discord call with a couple of my friends and we play some video games and talk about how sad our lives are. Joining me today on the podcast, we have my two co-hosts, Connor
Hello.
and Devin.
Hello, hello.
How are we doing today, gents?
Not too bad.
Yeah, life could be better.
Alright, dang. Oh, yeah,
Understandable,
definitely.
but you know.
How are you doing today,
Big
Evan?
week at
I
this
mean,
point.
Dalen.
I'm doing all right. Got a lot on my plate, but it's been okay today. Just a little bit stressful, but we're here recording the podcast, having a great time to
Yeah.
hang out with my
And-
buddies and have a little bit of fun.
It's a fairly new idea from us. Dalen was the
Oh, yeah.
one to start the idea.
Very true.
Mhm.
I
Um,
I am the person who was crazy enough to start this podcast.
Yeah. I wasn't there, so why don't you tell me about it? Like, what gave you the idea?
So,
I don't remember.
the basic gist of the idea is it was really stupid. Is
It was.
Evan and I, we were just in the Discord one day and we were just talking to each other, and I was like, hey, it would be really funny if there was like a podcast, right, where with
Yeah.
like professional speedrunners on it, and those speedrunners were just not focusing on the run. Like, they were not talking about the run. They were only there to just talk about like podcast stuff. So they're just there trying to maintain a good podcast while they're also like speedrunning a game, which obviously today we're not. We might in the future, but
Yeah, definitely.
it's episode 1.
Probably, yeah.
But I thought it'd be entertaining if there's just like, hey, these guys are playing video games and just not talking about it, but they also have like kind of nice, deep like podcast conversations in the
Yeah.
meantime, which is why I was like, hey, it would be funny if we just made a podcast, and then eventually like the meme kind of stuck, and now we're here with the podcast and we're
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
recording it, and
We
it's
are.
real.
So we all are playing games right now.
That we are.
I am currently playing Minecraft, which, yeah. And what are you two playing?
I am currently playing Pokemon Radical Red, just for a little bit of variation, because I was also going to play Minecraft, but I figured it'll be a little bit more fun if I'm not playing the same game as other people.
Yeah.
And then I am playing Risk of Rain 2.
Ooh,
Just having a jolly good old time.
I don't think I've heard of that one before.
I
How you
personally
liking
have
it,
not.
Evan?
It's a pretty good game. It's a roguelike. So you'll die a lot, but then you'll have like better items the next run you do.
Mm.
You just kind of go until you die.
So you just like keep going, and then you die, and then you just keep building until you keep going like a little bit further, or is that like?
It's something like that. You get these items in the game that have different effects. Like, I just got a bison stick that gives me extra max health, and I also have this shield that gives me armor if I have full health and I kill an enemy.
Hmm. Okay,
And
that's-
so you can just keep getting items and items, and you have no limit on how many items you can pick up, as far as I know. If there is a limit, it is a lot.
Hmm.
But you can just keep going for hours and hours, and there's no limit. And the items stack. Like, if I had another bison steak, I'd get like, I think, another 25 max health.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like a never-ending game if you have like a god tier loadout. Because I know there's this like item in the game it's like an ultra rare that you can get multiple of, where if you die you just get resurrected, but you can get like a bunch of those,
Yeah.
and then and there's also, I think, a teddy bear that has like a small chance to block damage, and so if you get like a bunch of those, you'll basically be blocking a lot of damage.
Hmm.
And it's really useful. But it's a really fun game. I played it on my Xbox, but it was on sale on Steam, so I decided to get in it again, because they're going to be releasing a DLC for it or something like that in like sometime early next year.
Really?
Nice.
That is cool. I don't think I've heard of it, but I might give it a shot. I'm in
It's a lot
between
of fun.
games, and I'm just playing Pokemon like
It's
an
a lot,
addict.
it's usually like 25, but it's 14 right now, I think. 14
Ooh.
or 16.
Might have to cop.
Not bad.
We'll see.
I recently got Fallout, but Evan,
Honestly.
I've told you about it. How every time I open it, it just keeps crashing, and I don't know why.
It's still doing that?
Yeah, I just ended up deleting it. Um,
Is
I
it
might go. I don't.
is it the game itself, or is it a problem with
I,
Steam
I think it's the
in the
game
game?
itself. Steam's working fine because I can play other games.
Right.
I mean, yeah, I'd assume it's just an issue with the game. I mean, it's not the newest game, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a little buggy. But you
Yeah.
know,
Do
it
you know
does
if
kind of
other people
stink
are
though,
having
because
problems for it?
No idea. I haven't looked into it. It's honestly no big deal because it was on sale for $10 for the like special edition.
yeah, but it does kind of suck though that you can't play it, because Fallout's one of the like better games that I've played in like
Right.
recent years.
Yeah.
It's just there's so much to do because with that like
Mhm.
open like sandbox style world where it's like I really love those games where you can just go back to them like every like couple of months or so and just play for a bit,
Yeah.
and then
Like Skyrim.
yeah, I love Skyrim.
Banger.
I've played Skyrim so many times.
Mhm.
It's such a great game. Like those open like
Yeah.
sandbox style worlds where you can just do whatever you want and like whatever. I just love those games.
I
Um,
can definitely agree on that. I played only a little bit of Skyrim, but when I got the Wabbajack, I was having so much fun.
I mean,
That was the only thing I cared about in the game.
just the
Was
Wabbajack.
the Wabbajack.
I
The
have not,
Wabbajack.
I have not played it in a while. I should get back into it. It's pretty fun.
I definitely recommend it to anyone who
don't
hasn't
remember
played or
how
people who have
far
played to just
I
jump
got
back into it,
it.
because
Yeah.
I
that
got
game
a
is so much
decent
fun.
bit of the way through it, but I just can't remember how far.
I sadly only got back to like Fallout. I only got to like the first mission, you would say.
Hmm.
I downloaded some mods just to make the game like quality better. Um, that might be why it's not working, and I disabled them. But I don't
That
know.
I don't know. I'd assume like most mods shouldn't like completely just break your game.
Yeah, and they were like community like top mods,
Yeah,
like
like
recommended, most like voted.
yeah.
But we are here playing Minecraft. So
I
yeah.
mean, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
not. I don't want to like break the fourth. Your guys' POV is definitely gonna be way more interesting than mine. I am just moving back and forth, so it's a
Yeah,
thrilling.
no,
Are you
no.
still
thrilling
running at like
perspective.
insane speed?
I am. So this
That
first
is-
part will be mostly you guys.
I would not be able to read myself.
I don't know. I think it's just I've got a lot of experience nuzlocking. We can jump into this, but like,
Yeah.
I think I've got at least over 1,000, maybe 2,000 hours of like playing just Pokemon in general. So like, I don't know. I've gotten really good at reading the text boxes when they're going that fast, which I don't know if that's really not a good skill to have, but I don't know. My eyes are they've just adjusted to the high speed. Like, I guess I can cut to me, but like I'm going at like 1,000% faster like frame rate than I should be, than like the base game is, and it does not bother me at all. So
Yeah, I personally am an extremely slow reader, so
I've gotten way better at it only because of the 2,000 hours of Pokemon nuzlocking that I've done. Honestly though, it makes the game so much more enjoyable as like an adult. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I might be crazy, but just like the added challenge of just permadeath is just it's such a good like driving force, because it makes you actually like there's stakes to the battles. Like you don't just lose, you'll actually lose like I don't know. I've stopped
You'll
thinking
lose
about them as like
that
my friends
Pokemon.
at this point. I just think of them as tools, because it hurts more when you lose something that it's like, oh, this thing was my friend and now I can no longer use it ever again. But
Yeah,
it's
like-
that would have been like a really useful like tool for me like later on down the line or something,
Right.
because it's like, you know, it's not like they're real. I've just, you know, but you still grow attached to them, and it's like when they put in a lot of work for you and you lose them, and it does kind of suck, but you know,
Yeah.
it's
you bounce
like
back.
naming a dog in Minecraft.
Very true, very true.
I recently named one. Dalen, you came up with the name, I believe, right?
I did. I named him
Yep.
Sputnik because it was
Sputnik.
the first thing that came to mind. I have no idea why, but I was like, you know what? I think it'd be funny if he named his dog Sputnik.
Yeah. I don't know why. It's just you get so connected to like animals or friends in video games, and then when they die, you're just like, wow.
It really hits you. Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
like if we jump back to like Fallout, like whenever like dog meat would like get hurt or something, I would always be like
Yeah.
enraged, like,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's like this is like a dog that's made out of polygons, and I've gotten so connected to it, and it's such a weird like I don't know like dichotomy where it's like you get attached to like these characters like you'll be playing through video games and you get so attached to like when it's story rich video games. I mean, you get so attached to like all these characters because they're got like really interesting stories. They're really compelling and stuff like that. And I don't know, it's weird, but like video games have like this special sort of pull where it's like you can really like just fall in love with them and just jump into them fully. And I think that's part of the magic, honestly.
It
That's
really
why
is.
when people are like, "Oh, you play video games? It's so weird," and it's like, well, I mean, you like watching people tackle each other on a screen. Like we're
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
basically the same thing, except I'm in control. So,
yeah. I mean, tackling. Obviously, you're talking about football.
yeah,
Yeah.
Football's fun to watch and all, but like, I like to be involved. I mean, personally, I don't like playing football. I would rather watch it, but I'd rather be involved in something, you know?
yeah. I mean, it's a
Mhm.
lot. It's a lot more. You can get way more invested in it when it's like you are in control. Your actions have like direct effects on what happens in game. Like it's just way easier for you to just like be a part of it than it is to like just sit there and like passively enjoy it. No, not trying to throw shade at like the football community. Obviously, I keep using them as an
Yeah.
example,
Yeah.
but like it's just I don't know. Watching people on the screen just doesn't have the same effect for me because it's like you can't. It's way harder to get invested in their stories for me than it is when I'm like in direct control. Because like a lot of characters I've just like in fiction, I'll say I've found like really enjoyable. Like in a lot of the books that I've read or whatever, they're way more enjoyable or like video games or whatever. When I don't know, you sort of build up a story around them. I guess that's what people do with football, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah. I.
I just watch football because I find it enjoyable, but I don't pick sides. So
Um,
Yeah.
Recently, I actually, like 2 weeks ago, I went up to Purdue,
mhm.
um, because my brother plays rugby,
Yeah,
and it's actually an extremely interesting sport. Like,
rugby is fascinating to me because everyone's always
Yeah.
talking about the
Rugby.
helmets in football when rugby is so much more like
Yeah.
physical than
yeah, like
football, and it's weird how they never like the like the helmet argument never gets shifted to rugby because rugby's far more like physically I don't know aggressive.
demanding.
Yeah,
Yeah,
than football is, but no one, everyone's talking about football. I guess it's just because football's like the bigger sport or whatever.
yeah, it's the
But
bigger sport in America.
yeah,
Yeah.
But
It's more American tradition sport, so you're
you
gonna
ha-
see a lot more people
yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about that.
I guess yeah. Since the NFL's just way bigger, I mean, like you don't really hear about like a national rugby league, which you know
yeah,
is kind of sad. But I mean, you know, it's still a fascinating sport to watch. But you know,
Mhm.
and there's actually less injuries in rugby. It's much safer than football.
that is wild. I mean, I guess it's sort of because you're like less pads or whatever. You know, you feel less.
Um,
Is it less? I don't actually know. I thought it was less, but
They don't. I don't think they wear any pads, and only like specific, like people on the team wear like, it's like a wrestling. It's not a helmet, like
yeah,
guard
yeah, like
or whatever.
the headpiece or
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
yeah. But like when I watched my brother's game, there was like two people on their team with that, but the way there's less injuries is because there's a specific way you have to tackle.
hmm
And like if you're on the ground, like when the ball's on the ground, I'm sorry if I don't really know much
Yeah,
about
yeah.
rugby, so I'm sorry if I'm incorrect, but when it's on the ground, it still counts. So your team wants to try to get the ball from the person on the ground, but
Mhm.
one of the teammates will get on top of their teammate to protect them, so no one like hits their head or anything, and it's really interesting.
That's really cool though, because they have like that sort of like camaraderie of just like I'm gonna like protect my teammate. One, so obviously like I assume the ball doesn't get taken, but two, to also just like, hey, I'm gonna make sure this guy doesn't get like punted in the head or something, so he doesn't get like a concussion,
Yeah,
which is really
and
cool.
it's really like family. Like
Mhm.
my brother, he is in love with it, and it's
Yeah, that's what
honest.
I've seen is that the people who do play rugby they're very invested, and it's wild to me, but I think it's really cool. Yeah, because they have like this crazy sense of community with each other, and I think it's really cool. But I obviously I know very little about the sport, but
Yeah, I don't know too much about rugby, but I do like just the way it's played a lot more, like with the sticks and the nets rather than I don't know. It just seems more interesting to me.
I think you're getting rugby and
Yeah,
lacrosse confused, Evan.
yeah,
Oh, I was thinking of a completely different sport.
You
Yeah,
were.
don't mind me.
Yeah, no, you're good.
yeah. No, that's lacrosse, but I mean lacrosse
Good.
is pretty
Don't worry about
interesting.
It is certain. Yeah, it's certainly interesting to watch.
I'll
But
just be over here. Don't watching lacrosse. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say really any of us know much about
none of us
sports,
are. Yeah, none
so,
of us are professional in terms of sports. So
yeah.
Clearly, if you couldn't tell.
I mean, that's why we're all sitting here playing video games. But
For those of you that actually know me in person,
I'm
I'm a
sorry.
cross
First of all.
country.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm sorry, and I'm actually a cross country runner, so
I mean,
yeah.
I hold
you
no
just
stake.
know.
My sport is like the most physical, but also surprisingly, like there's very little like injuries of like someone else hurting another person, which is crazy to me, honestly. The fact that I've been doing, obviously for those who do or do not know, I did or I yeah, I guess did martial arts for the last 10 years of my life or something like that. It was some crazy number like that, where it's just like, yeah, I've been doing this on and off for 10 years straight. And so um and a lot of what I've witnessed is that like sort of the control aspect of martial arts, where it's like you know how to sort of dial it back, because your goal is never to like, my goal is not to hurt my partner. Obviously the person who I'm like sparring with is not my goal to take them out. One, our
Yeah.
goal is to learn. Two, it's like we may be competing for points, so it's like I'm not here to like win the fight. That's what I thought was really cool, is that like I'm not here to win the fight, because you can win a fight relatively quickly if you like kick someone in the knee or something, but like you're fighting for points. So it's like I'm gonna aim for their chest or their head, because that's where they have pads on, and you both know this going into it. But yeah, that's what I thought was like really cool with my sport, at least, is just like you basically never got hurt if you're just like obviously sparring with another person. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting, because we were all pretty good about just like, I don't know, not killing each other.
Yeah.
So
Not doing too much damage.
yeah, we're not here to like kill each other, because we were all friends there for the most part. But
For the most part,
for the most part, I mean,
Look for
it's
mortal
inevitable that
enemies.
you're not gonna like everyone. That's just what's gonna happen. But but that's just life. You're not gonna agree with
Yeah.
everyone who you meet, which
I
makes sense.
yeah, I did wrestling, which I mean, obviously not the same as what you did.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. You're wanting to get points or pin the person to the ground.
Hmm.
And I'm just gonna be honest, was not good at wrestling at all. I think I won only 2 matches, but I also only played for like 2 years, and I was a skinny, like underweight boy.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
pretty difficult. I did break a kid's arm, so that's how I won one match.
Nice.
Is that not like, I don't know anything about wrestling, but like, is breaking someone's arm, is that not like a penalty or something? Like you don't get like
Clearly
in
not.
trouble for that or something?
It it's not right. It was on accident,
Mm.
but the move I did was legal.
Oh, okay.
His arm just happened to bend more than it should have.
Mm.
So yeah,
Arm bent a
Gotcha.
little too far the way it really shouldn't.
but yeah, like your goal isn't to hurt the person. I felt horrible, but I was glad that I won, because I think that was my first match. I think that I won.
I mean, yeah.
But yeah, the I've done cross country, track, and wrestling. Those are the sports I've done.
All right, great. We're gonna
Wanna know how many I've
segue.
done?
We're gonna
Yeah.
segue away from sports
0.
here a little bit, just because we know nothing about the sports. Obviously, we know
Pretty much, yeah.
the ones that we're in, but we know basically nothing else. So, let's see. How are we feeling about podcasting so far?
Going.
Like, I don't know if you guys feel. I feel like it's kind of like a natural experience for me, but it also feels a little weird. I don't know
Yeah,
if
yeah, it
if you
does.
guys
It's
are
weird.
feeling any of that either.
But I don't know.
I'm gonna be honest. This is our second time going through it, so because
A little peek
we
behind
kind
the
of messed
curtain,
up. Yeah.
What did I say for the second time? It was like what, a minute?
Yeah,
Mhm.
it
in
wasn't
the
hard,
first
but
one.
Well,
I
yeah,
would
just
not
'cause-
really call that.
yeah, we didn't know what we were gonna talk about going into it, and so like obviously we just like and then we
we panicked with not the best idea
Yeah.
of a podcast.
it wasn't the
but
best topic to jump into off rip,
It-
but
It was
No.
not. But honestly, I was nervous. Still a little am. I don't know why, but honestly, this is going pretty well.
yeah, I'd have to agree. Like,
Not going too bad.
because I mean, my biggest worry like going into it was just like, oh god, like what if we just like completely just bomb and just like like there's like no conversation, we're just sitting here in like awkward silence or something, and like there's just nothing going on. That was like
Great
my
God,
biggest
man.
worry.
I'd watch that.
Just three guys sitting
Silence.
silently.
Nobody says
Yeah.
anything.
It is
I
just
think it was
dead
just
silent.
like the pressure of being like recorded,
Yeah.
and like that pressure makes you nervous, and then you're like, oh, I don't know what to talk about.
Hmm.
But like when we're not being recorded, obviously we can have conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's not like you really have to worry about what you watch or saying. Because you like, sometimes you got to be like, okay, can I say this in front of however many people watch this?
Yeah.
But
Which honestly, we have so far none because we're recording this and it's our
Because
first
this
one.
is the first ever episode that we've
Technically, yes.
released, so that would make sense that we have nothing else out.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious. How many times have you guys like been on camera to like record stuff? I know Evan and I have.
yeah, we've been on camera plenty.
on like a fair amount of times. How
That
about
was cool.
you, Connor? Like how many times have
Yeah.
you been like on camera like in front of, or like on some sort of camera to be posted somewhere?
Oh wow, let me think. I did some Twitch streaming, but I don't really count because it was only like friends that would watch.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've actually been recorded to film anything.
Till like now.
Yeah,
Ah.
This is the
'Cause-
first.
I did, like I said, wrestling in that was in middle school, and I don't think they record that for middle school.
I don't think so, no.
I wouldn't know, but
Since
I
it's
I
just
wouldn't
middle
either.
school.
I don't think I've ever been like recorded on something before, so this is a first for me.
nice. Well,
Welcome to the club.
yeah. Evan and I are pros, so
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
totally.
100%.
What were you guys filming?
So
Cool video announcements.
yeah, we did the video announcements back in
Oh,
like
yeah.
8th grade.
The good old days.
Yeah,
I think it was
so
8th grade.
It was 8th grade. So it was
That's
like our
fine.
last year of middle school, yeah. And so I think I was also running like my really bad YouTube channel at the time. It was for like the 20 subs or whatever that I had. And like so like I've been on camera for a good chunk of like time at this point, because like I think I started my YouTube channel in like 6th grade or something, 6th or 7th grade, because I started with a bunch of friends because we were all like we felt inspired to like, I don't know, sort of get out there, I guess, and like, I don't know, just film random stuff that we thought was like funny or whatever. So like, we'd always just like we did really dumb videos and stuff. I mean, it was enjoyable at the time, but it wasn't like, the quality was never like anything to be like remarkable or anything. But you know, we
240.
yeah, Evan and I we did our school's
Good
news
old
together,
school video
and you
announcements.
know,
Channel
yeah, we
6
told it Channel
News.
6 News. It was really really bad.
I don't know what
Honestly,
you're talking about. That was great.
it was
Yeah, I
very bad.
I completely forgot about that.
I can never forget. That was some of the most fun I've
Never
ever had in
forget.
school. Like for real, like that was one of the most fun things that we did in middle school.
Well, yeah, you got to do like whatever, almost whatever you wanted. You can-
Basically, as long as apparently if we were like as long as we weren't saying crap, then we were fine.
Yeah.
Oh
You
no,
said the word
crap.
crap. You were.
The swear word.
Oh yeah, because
Done.
like I don't remember like it was like a someone in the background of like one of our like sketches or whatever. They said crap, and our teacher just completely cut out like the entire bit. So
Yeah.
like the whole
That's just
flow
saying,
of our
cut the crap
episode,
part
like
out.
he cut out like a good chunk of like everything that we filmed. And he's like, "Yeah, you guys need to watch your language." And we're like, "What did we say?" And he's like, "Oh, someone in the background said crap, so I had to cut the whole thing." And we're like, "Well, now our episode is just like completely wrong."
I really wanted to be in video announcements in middle school, but because I was in the same class as you guys,
Mhm.
but they put me in the journalism.
I tried like super hard to like market myself to get into video announcements because they
I
made
don't
it
know how I got
sound
a video now.
kind of like it was a sort of like selective thing, like you only get in if you're like if you know what you're doing. So like I was like, "Oh, I'm a walk-on basically. Like I have a YouTube channel, guy. I have a tripod in my house." Like
I think I know a thing or two.
you know, I was like,
'cause
"Yeah,
I've seen a thing or two.
I know how to like I know how to do this." And at the time like I knew nothing about video editing. I knew nothing about filming.
Yeah.
And like I didn't even know how to like green screen at the time or like chroma key. So but like they made us write like it was like a miniature resume thing to like get on
Oh
video
my God, they
announcements.
did.
And so like I
Totally
just
forgot
remember I
about
was like,
that.
"Yeah, I have a YouTube channel," and I'm like, I've got like 20 subs. Like I'm basically
I'm kind of a big deal.
I'm basically like the next big thing. You know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
apparently that worked because I got on to video announcements.
Yeah, I don't know how I got on. I don't remember what I put, but apparently they're like, "Yup."
Yeah,
this kid's
apparently it
good
was
to go."
good enough to edge out Connor from getting onto video
Yeah.
announcements.
I don't think I've touched a bit of film ever, and they were like, "Yeah, this kid's."
This guy,
would be
we
great.
want him on here. Get him in.
Yeah.
I had some experience with that stuff, and then they
I had
still put
none.
me in the school magazine.
Oh yeah, I forgot that existed. Honestly,
Nobody reads the school magazine.
I forgot that we had a school magazine.
Yeah, I've never read it.
We had a magazine
You
and
have
a
to actually
newspaper.
buy it.
Did you have
People-
to buy it?
I think so.
No, you didn't have to.
Oh, okay.
But-
I bought it. Or-
Yeah,
not at all.
there was a magazine and a newspaper. Everyone, not really everyone, but I think every teacher got a newspaper. But you had to like specially order the magazine, and nobody wanted it for some reason. They wanted the newspaper. Yeah,
For some
I don't know.
unknown reason, people
Oh,
didn't want to read
peculiar.
our middle school magazine.
they wanted to read the middle school newspaper that people were writing about.
I don't know. People are weird.
Yeah, I feel like a magazine would have been more interesting, but I guess not.
I mean, yeah, I guess you're wrong. So,
Yeah.
I think he felt bad for everyone that was in it, and I think we all got 100s.
mm. I think we
Because
basically
nobody read
did.
it.
I think we basically did too, but I don't actually know. I just remember like we spent a good chunk of our time in like this little like closet because it had like a green screen in it.
Filming.
Yeah,
studio
so we'd
was
we'd
in a
always
different
film.
classroom.
Yeah, we'd always film on like in like this guy's classroom in like a closet with a green screen.
Yeah. Connor, you did PLB, right? Yeah, you were in my class.
Yeah.
That's where we had to go every time. to
Yeah,
go.
we were always in
to
the
the green
the
screen.
PLB room, just like
Yeah.
in there constantly recording.
We were in there like at least 90% of the time.
Like
We were
we
in
would,
there
there were
so
times where
much.
we'd like go other places to like film a sketch or something, and then like the other like 90% of the time we were just like off doing like off in random places doing stuff. I remember like what was it? Oh, I remember. It was it was like this one like segment of our show. We called it Ecological Impact, where JJ
Oh yeah.
would always he'd make like his best like David Attenborough thing, and he would always like see random people who were breaking rules in the hallway. It was really bad, but it was really funny to us.
Yeah, I remember that. Man, I really wish I could be part of it.
We would have
But,
loved to have
oh,
you, because we had several
yeah.
people on there who we just didn't want on our team.
Mhm.
I can think of one person.
There were several, but
Yeah, the one that you reported. I'm not going to name names,
yes,
obviously, but
yes.
for
He knows who he is.
for
words that were
for his
said.
for his less than PC statements that he made to me. So
Yeah, yeah.
that guy was a character, but you know.
He was in actually quite a few of my classes, and not too happy about it.
That is really unfortunate.
But yeah, he stuck. Obviously, we're not gonna name names. Just want to say that again.
Yeah.
But he stuck on me like glue, and thought we were the bestest of friends. You know,
Oh.
Tim, right?
Yeah.
He was also in my class. But Tim, cool guy.
Love to.
And then that guy, he always wanted to be my partner. I'm like, no, I'm gonna be partners with Tim. And oh my God, it awful, I tell you.
Yeah. I don't know. Middle school in general was just like pretty awful.
It was.
I don't know if that was
something,
just
right?
like my experience, but I hated middle school.
Yeah, it wasn't always the most fun times.
It was basically never like the most fun times.
Yeah,
except for like
that's understandable.
except for like journalism 8th grade, I basically did not enjoy it.
Journalism was the only good part.
Yeah.
That's the only part I can remember, honestly, during middle school.
That is also very true.
Other than like going on trips when I was in band, that is the only part I can remember.
Yeah, like I remember
God.
like bits and pieces, but other than that, it's basically like nothing.
Evan, I completely forgot you did band.
So
Yeah,
Just
honestly, so did I. But
because I quit after the first year in high school because
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah, wow.
that's why I was like, honestly, because that's the thing about band kids that I never understood, is that like they basically all complain about how terrible it is, and then nobody quit except for you.
yeah,
The only one that went through with it, and then they gave you like trouble for it.
Yeah, like they kept bugging you about it, and it's like Evan actually like followed through.
I was
Like,
basically ostracized.
yeah, by
from
like
the band
everyone in the
class.
band,
Yeah,
because you actually like had the stones to leave when no one else did. So
if I got in within like 10 feet of the band room, I was like, nope, get out.
Yeah.
that was basically me just all the time though. So,
I remember. I think it was sophomore year. You went to a football game, and
Oh yeah,
for the listeners
Yeah, I
that don't
remember.
know, our high school was big for
yeah, we had a
football and
large
band.
school.
mhm.
They were massive
And-
supporters.
Yeah, and when you went to the game, right after the halftime show, the whole band team
They
just
would just
surrounded
flood
you.
out of they'd
Yeah.
flood out from the field, and they just like, it was like watching moths to a flame when they just crowded Evan, and I was like, wow, like this is what's happening here. Like why are we
Yeah.
like just getting swarmed?
I
Yeah.
was attacked.
Yeah, and then like they
and
were all
it
just like,
was not a fun-
why did you quit, dude? And it's like, you all actively complain and say that you hate it
Mhm.
here.
It wasn't. It's not to say I didn't have any fun at all. There were definitely a lot of times I'm like, yay, what a fun time I'm having in band.
Yeah.
And the other half time, other like 3/4 of the time, like, please, kill me. Get me
Yeah.
out of here.
Understandable,
Yeah.
honestly,
Here
because
anymore.
it just, like, from what I'm told, it just like, it was just never like something that sounded fun. Like, and people just kept doing it, and it baffled me.
For me, some people just had too much energy, man. I couldn't keep up with it.
Then there was just a lot of drama too. Like,
Yeah, I stayed away from that. For the most
I
part.
tried to, but it was inevitable because they have so much of it.
They do.
And there's so
But
many of like the band kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a big band. I'm just really upset that I don't march trombones. Because it's like, I played that for 3 years. They're like, okay, you gotta switch.
Did they really?
'Cause
They made you switch?
Yeah, it was either you didn't do band or you switch instruments. Because they don't march trombones.
Oh. Dude, that sucks.
Oh. Because I did it for 3 years, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna play this fun instrument that I played in middle school for 3 years. They're like, yeah, we don't march that instrument. Not because of like a rule or anything. We just don't want to. Like,
That's so dumb.
it was like a style choice that the director
Yeah.
thought was effective, and I don't know how effective it was compared if we did march trombones.
Mhm.
But I was really upset by that.
Yeah, I mean that's really stupid, but
Yeah. You were able to play trombone in concert when we switched to concert band in the second half of the year, but at that point I'm like, nah.
Yeah,
I
like
switched
what's the
to
point?
trumpet.
Yeah.
I guess I switched from low brass to high brass, but my second choice was trumpet, so I wanted to play that.
yeah,
Me
that makes
not
sense.
know understanding what that means.
Well, because low brass obviously plays at lower tones most of the time, so it's a little bit easier. Because you don't have that, like, you're constantly high pitched. Like, your lips have to be pressed together harder for high brass than they do for low brass. Because they have much smaller mouthpieces.
Mhm.
So you have to focus more when you're doing high brass and low brass, because they have much bigger mouthpieces for that low baritone.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That makes sense.
That beautiful, deep tone.
I
But on
am.
high brass.
I'm not the most musical of people. I think in seventh
no.
grade, I played piano because I had to take a class for it, but
Yeah.
wasn't bad. It's just I don't know. I can read music pretty well. Like I still can understand it. It's just I can't play.
Yeah. Just a struggle to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Piano.
curious. So like since it's been several years since middle school, obviously, I'm wondering like how do you guys think your priorities have changed since middle school? I'm just curious. So like between your teen years and now, what do you think is like, or not even just your priorities? What do you think has changed since like middle school? Because I think we've all known each other since that point. Because I think I met Connor in like 7th grade, and I knew Evan since elementary school.
Since 5th, yeah.
Yeah. So like, I'm curious. How do you guys think you've changed since then?
I definitely started caring more about, well, more grown-up things, I guess, to just say, like, man, how do I do taxes?
Understandable.
Because never taught that.
That would
they
make way too much sense if we got taught that.
Yeah, no, they never taught much anything like that. I really wish they did. I know some schools do something like that.
Yeah.
But considering our school, I would have thought they would, but no.
Yeah. How about you, Connor?
I did get taught taxes. Just because I did co-op, which for the viewers that do not know, that's where you go to school for like 4 classes, and then you go to work as quote your school.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that, and we had to learn how to do taxes, which actually extremely beneficial, and I think it should be mandatory.
Yeah, it's a practical skill. Like it makes sense that it should be taught because everyone will have to do it at some point.
Yeah,
or
but
else you're gonna go to jail. So.
Right.
Yeah. I want to commit that tax fraud.
That would be bad.
My priorities.
Yeah, that would be very good.
No one here on the Sadpad podcast promotes evading your taxes.
If you do,
that's on you. That's your choice.
Yeah,
we do not advise it.
We can't stop you, but
we do not recommend it.
Yeah, we don't recommend.
Right.
But back to the question, how have my priorities changed?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just feel like I focus on myself more. I kind of went through this phase in middle school. Didn't really care how people thought.
Yeah.
Beginning of high school, I kind of cared more.
Mm-hmm.
But then really towards senior year, I don't really care what people think about me. Like, just the more time you think about like what people are thinking about you, that's just wasted time. And
Yeah, that makes sense. That's pretty true.
yeah, just don't let people stop you from being who you want to be.
That very true. I'd have
Mhm.
to agree with that. Um, I don't know. I think I was thinking about this like the other day, where I feel like I don't know. Since middle school, I think I obviously like getting older. You shift in priorities because like you get a better sense for the real world.
Yeah.
Right.
Obviously, but I think since then, like, I don't know, I've sort of just I don't know, I got a better grasp of like what I want to do with my life, and also like I don't know if I've just been like the only one to experience it. The older I've gotten, the better like I've gotten to understand sort of myself. I don't like to talk like publicly about this most of the time, but we're on the podcast where we get to talk about deep stuff. So obviously, like, I feel like a lot of people use it as sort of an excuse nowadays, but like mental health is like a really big thing for me now, and it wasn't back then. Cause like I
Yeah.
don't know, I've always had like kind of uh, low self esteem. Like I'm not the most confident person. I'll be the first one to admit that. But
Mhm.
I'd always be like super down, like super hard on myself, and like it took me a really long time to sort of come to grips with that because obviously you don't want to be like I'm like beating myself up, and like that led to like a lot of issues like for me later on down the line, obviously. But you know like the older I've gotten, the more like about myself I've sort of learned, like especially like once I started exercising and I started like actually paying attention to my mental health. And now I feel like I hope at least it's gotten better since then, because now like I'll catch myself like, oh, I could have done like this better, and I'm just like, I just let myself enjoy like the little victories now, where it's like, you know what, I think I did this to the best of my ability. Maybe it's not perfect, because that's also another thing I struggled with, was being a perfectionist. I was like, yeah, maybe it's not perfect, but it's the best I could have done. I think that's just like the big thing that's changed since then, is that I sort of understand myself better. I don't know if you guys have experienced that at all or something.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
agree.
Yeah.
Um, I've been I like struggle with like confidence and stuff,
Hmm.
but since college has started, I've really like pushed my boundaries to do things that I normally wouldn't be comfortable doing. Like
Mhm.
in my English class, I hate English, but um I actually willingly talked in front of the class.
Hmm.
Mhm.
What for?
It was I can't remember, but we were doing like a group thing, and I just willingly like presented for the group, and I was like, you know what, I'll talk about this. I will put myself out there,
That's really
and I
cool.
did, and I felt good about myself.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I don't know. I think college has done something sort of similar to me, because I've never been like I never wanted to be like the kid who's like the center of attention or any of that. Like that stuff was
Mhm.
never like for me. I've always just been like, I want to be a background character, sort of. Like I don't want to be like, I don't want to have everyone's eyes on me. That's so much pressure. And since I was super insecure, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna mess up and everyone's gonna judge me for it because I didn't do this perfectly or whatever. And now it's like, now that I'm at college, I realize it's like everyone's got their own issues. No one's really like judging you, especially with like public speaking and stuff, where it's like sort of people understand that you're nervous, and odds are people are more nervous than you are when you're publicly speaking, especially if it's like a class presentation or something. If everyone has to present, there's a very high likelihood that everyone is just as nervous, if not more nervous than you are. Because I remember
yeah,
in my English class, I also hate English, but we have to do a presentation about our researched argument. Like we have to write a paper, and then we're gonna revise it, and then at the end of the semester, we have to make a presentation about it. That's sort of just like stating our claim, basically. Like, what's our argument? What's our points? Just like a down the middle sort of like synopsis of it, if that makes sense. So,
Mhm.
like, our teacher asked us one day, she goes, are you guys nervous for the presentation? I sort of like sat there for a minute, and I was like, honestly, no. Like, I don't know, I've had a lot of experience like talking in front of people. Obviously my last job was teaching people how to do martial arts, So like I'm not super nervous in front of people. Obviously it's a different sort of environment when you're teaching martial arts versus like a teaching or talking about mine is privatized space travel. So like obviously it's a different vibe, but
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
um, I was like honestly no, I'm definitely like I feel pretty comfortable like presenting now. Like I'm not worried about like oh what if I mess up in front of all these people. It's like no, it's like if you mess up then like the thing is if you mess up and you don't make it obvious that you mess up, people will just not know.
Mhm.
Yeah. And truth is, no one really cares. Like in
Yeah.
middle school,
Yeah.
they would be like, haha, you messed up. But honestly, everyone messes up once in a while. Like, it's human nature.
Stuff happens. Like it's like hey, you're
Plus,
either
they
like
forget about it the next day.
yeah,
They're not
like
gonna remember.
yeah, it doesn't stick with people. Like a lot of times, a lot of people will think like, oh, they're gonna make fun of me or whatever because I like stumbled over a word or something in the middle of my presentation. It's like, yeah, no, those people are gonna like they might think about it like once or twice, but then after that, they're just gonna completely forget that like one that whatever you were presenting was about, and two that just like your presentation even happened.
Yeah. I, as I said, struggled with confidence. And I was actually at a party the other week because in college,
Yep.
what else are you going to do? And I'm not much of a party person or
Mhm.
like dancing,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
I was there and I'm like, I came to the realization, I'm like, all of these people are absolutely wasted. They're not going to remember anything. So I just started dancing and just being myself. And because honestly, they were extremely wasted. There's no way they're going to remember,
Yeah.
even if I make a fool of myself.
Yeah, obviously, like if they're hammered, they're not gonna remember anything, and if they do, then it's like, who cares? It's a party. Like,
Yeah.
I bet that had to feel
Mhm.
like fairly liberating though, just like sort of I don't know, letting down like or not building up these like emotional barriers for yourself and just kind of letting yourself
Yeah.
be you. That had to feel like pretty good though.
It did.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. But how about you, Evan? You have you ever struggled with like self confidence issues or something?
I mean, yeah, I'm not really a big speaking person. I'll try to keep to myself a lot. I'm just not good like in with big crowds and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I'll just stick to myself. I much rather prefer that.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I'll just keep to myself. I'll try to avoid people, just so I don't have to conversate with random people because I don't do well with strangers.
Yeah, it's understandable.
Like I've been trying to talk to more people in college. It's not as big as like Ball State or Cincinnati or Purdue, but there's still a good amount of people to talk to, but it's just not as big. We don't have those big school events,
Mm-hmm.
so there's not as much stuff to get riled up for.
Yeah.
'Cause
I mean,
I go to a smaller college.
Mhm.
So.
do you find that like this sort of like aversion to people that you have, do you ever feel like that is like sort of affecting you? Like I could be social, but I'm just going to sort of like keep to myself. Do you ever feel like that happens to you?
Kinda, but also the classes I go to, people aren't really social to begin with. Like nobody talks to each other
Mm-hmm.
because they just want to get out,
Yeah, get in, get out.
and
sort
there's
of
not
thing.
really many school events, so
Yeah.
I just kind of get what I can get. There's some people I talk to,
Mm-hmm.
but that I met in class,
Yeah.
but we don't like go to any school events or anything like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know. I'm totally, or I wouldn't say totally. I'm in a pretty similar boat. Like I've got like an aversion to like meeting people. I don't know why. It's sort of just like I guess it's like my introvert sort of coming out because like I'm totally with you when it's like I'm more of like a small group person. I'm not really like big into like the party setting or whatever.
Yeah.
Because like when there's like 60 people and stuff, I just feel like really out of place. So I try to avoid like a scenario like that, I guess. But you know
Right.
that makes sense. But you know the thing that I've learned about people is that like most people are just they're very willing to like I don't know they're not as judgmental and like critical of others as like as your brain tells you. That's what
Yeah.
I've just sort of learned. Is just like people are, they're also awkward. They're also like just trying to get through it. But like people are just people, and they're not gonna like judge you if you're like not the most socially graceful, because they get it. Because not everyone's like a social butterfly or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, most people are like have somewhat of like social awkwardness.
Yeah, or everyone has moments where it's like, oh, that was kind of awkward or whatever, or I'm not super happy about how this happened or whatever. But for the most part, like, I don't know, I've struggled with like being socially awkward like my whole life.
Yeah, same.
But I feel like at this point I've just learned that most people will either A, understand, or B, just won't care if you're like a little awkward in front of them, because it happens, stuff happens, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I do get that, but I don't know. I was just always antisocial, and I still am, but I feel like so is everyone else in my class, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Because nobody talks to each other. There may be like 2 people that talk to each other because they already know each other before they went to college. But other than that, nobody talks to each other.
Yeah, that makes
There's
sense.
like no chance to talk at all.
I have a few classes like there's barely any talking. But yeah, most of my classes that you don't really like work in groups. It's usually by yourself, and so that's where I kind of struggle like meeting new people, just because we're all like doing our own thing.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense. Because
In my classes, there's no time where you work in class. It's just the professor is talking the entire hour or so, and then you leave. So there is no time to even work on your own thing
Yeah.
that you could conversate with other people in the class.
So
So it just doesn't happen.
since we're all like, I don't know, sort of in like this socially awkward boat or whatever, do you guys ever feel like you sort of like, I don't know, maybe missed out on an opportunity or something because like you were being held back by like sort of being socially awkward or something like that?
Definitely.
Oh yeah.
You guys want to jump into that?
I can't really think of any off
Yeah,
the
I can't
top of my
think of
head.
moments, but I definitely feel like there would be a moment where I could have said something and just didn't.
Yeah, but
So do you think that like feeling socially awkward, do you feel like that's a problem that you feel like is sort of solvable, or have you guys been working on it at all to sort of, I don't know, get less socially awkward?
Just slowly, I do see it as kind of a problem because I barely talk to anyone. So I try, but most people aren't. I got like either 8 in the morning, 9 in the morning classes, or classes at like 6 in the afternoon. So people aren't really in a talking mood. They just want to get home.
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like not talking to people has definitely like restricted some of my opportunities that I would have had, which I do regret. But I am trying to work on it. That's one of my goals for college, just like to put myself out there. Like this podcast, honestly, kind of a big step for me because I don't know who's gonna listen.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, I just want to try to become like a better person and just like also work on myself and yeah, just get less sad, which I feel like this should be the goal of the podcast. Like we
By
are
the
the
end of the-
sad pad.
Yeah, by the end of the podcast, we could change it to like the happy pad or something.
Yeah. Instead of a group of sad boyos, we can maybe be happy one day. Obviously, I'm not always sad,
Yeah.
but there's obviously moments that aren't the best.
Yeah. I mean, life is just, it can never just be perfect all the time. Otherwise, I feel like life would get kind of mundane, sort
Yeah.
of. Like,
Right.
if everything is perfect, then, then there's you have no issues. Then what's the point? You know?
Yeah.
But still, like, obviously you don't want to have, like, I'm not saying you should seek out issues or whatever.
Yeah.
Nobody misconstrue that. But I feel like, I don't know, a lot of the times like societally, people assume if you're not happy, then you're just immediately like not okay. I don't know why people assume that happiness is sort of like the standard that we shoot for. I don't know if you guys feel the same or whatever, but like I feel like a lot of the times we sort of like being okay or like not being okay is sort of frowned upon. And I think that's interesting because I found that most of the time like me personally, I'm not what I would consider happy, but I'm also like fine. I'm not
Yeah.
sad or whatever. I'm just okay. I don't know. I don't know if you guys feel the same or whatever, but that's just I feel like a lot of the times people are like, "Oh, you're like like I'll give an example. So when I like the other day, one of my friends, she comes up to me and she goes, "Hey, how have you been?" I was like, "I'm fine." She's like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "Nothing. I'm fine." Like she's like, "Yeah, but you didn't say like you're happy or whatever." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm not. I'm just being honest. I'm just fine. Like there's nothing
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah.
There's nothing good. I'm just all right.
I'm, I'm just being me.
Yeah,
You know?
I'm just okay." Like you know,
I can't remember what exactly was just said, but it gave me an idea for a topic. Like,
go ahead.
what are your guys' thoughts on like change? You guys like it or no?
Um
Change can be good. Yeah.
yeah, I
Depends on what's changing, I guess.
yeah. So
But yeah, it can be a
like
good thing.
I don't know, yeah, change for the longest time actually I had a really big issue with change because for those who don't know, I have moved like houses a total of 10 times. My move to college was my 10th move that I've made. Like I've been all over the country. I've lived in different countries for a couple of years. I've seen a good chunk of the world. So like I'm pretty familiar with change, but like as a kid, I hated it because change for me a lot of the time meant like I didn't get my friends anymore. Like we're in a completely new space. I have to like obviously conversate with new people, make new friends, whatever. So like yeah, moved around the country like 10 different times and it wasn't super fun as you can tell. But like I don't know. Change is definitely it can be a good thing. It can also be a bad thing. Like it just you just kind of take it in stride, I guess. But, you know, that's I don't know, that's my take on change. It's like it can be good, it can be bad. It all just depends on sort of I don't know, your experience with it, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. I don't know, how do you guys feel about it?
I think it's a good thing to an extent. Like some things like they just have to change, like, you know, like
Mhm.
you can't be living the same your whole life.
Yeah.
It's great to like do new like experiences, but at the
Totally.
same time, certain changes can be like bad, you could say.
How about you,
Yeah.
Evan?
Yeah, like I said, I think change can be a good thing. I definitely had a problem like adjusting to change because I've moved quite a few times too. I don't remember the exact amount, but I've moved quite a few times as well.
Yeah.
But I definitely think it can be a good thing. It could be for the better if you're having a major problem. Like you're still nervous of the change, but it's still for the better.
Mhm.
That can be a problem. Like in general, I was just afraid of change, no matter what it was. Even if it was like a new phone, I was being like, but what about? Like I had that hesitation.
Yeah, didn't
Be
you
like,
just recently get a new phone?
yeah, but that's because I had to, because my
Yeah.
phone.
I
Was
think there's like a
dead
sort
or-
of there's a sort of like solace in um I don't know, things sort of stagnating. Like there's a comfort in that cuz you know like everything's consistent. And change
Yeah.
is kind of crazy because it throws off all of that consistency that you just had. So
Mhm.
like it can be like easily seen as something that's like kind of scary. But,
Yeah,
you know,
it's like a new weight being put on the scale that I have perfectly balanced.
yeah.
Now I gotta
As
now
all
I gotta
things
balance
should
that
be.
as well. That's all things should be.
Oh.
Yeah, now you got to sort of readjust, reevaluate and then, you know, you'll get back into it. But, you know,
Yeah.
For the most part, yeah. I feel like people need to get used to change, you know?
yeah. I mean, I feel like Yeah, that's a good point that people need to get used to change because I feel like a lot of people see it as sort of taboo.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a something that's like to be feared, which I think is kind of interesting because it's like we said earlier, not all change is bad. Obviously, like it's something that's very different. It's like a new sort of status quo, but it's not something that you should be like worried about or something because
Yeah.
obviously like it's change. It happens. It's going to happen. That's just life.
It is inevitable.
It very why are we Thanos now?
Yeah. Why?
I'm sorry.
You're just making a lot of Thanos reference right now.
I am Thanos.
Interesting.
I have my gauntlet right here.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like change is something that should be sort of I don't know. People are sort of apprehensive about it, and it's like, why? Because I don't know. I might just be sort of a defeatist or something, but I don't know. I feel like it's just kind of inevitable. Like it will happen. Change is going to happen. There's no way that you can avoid it. Like you can hide in your house as long as you want, but something will change inevitably, because that's just how life is. Like things don't stay the same. So I don't know, I feel like I said, I guess it's just best to sort of accept it, and then just don't be afraid of it.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. I don't know. I might, like I said, I might just be like coming at it with sort of a negative mindset. So I'm curious. So kind of segueing from the change discussion, what do you guys think is sort of a lesson or like a life lesson that you guys have found is the hardest for you to sort of learn?
Hardest life lesson
Yeah,
that I
hardest life
did learn,
lesson.
or that I still need to learn.
Either works.
I don't know. I never really thought about what life lesson do I need. I don't know. I know this is a Marvel quote, but it always stuck in my head a lot. Like,
Mhm.
hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
Yeah.
I know Nick Fury said that a lot. I don't know if someone else said that, so if I'm wrong, I'm sorry.
I have no clue. Couldn't call you on it. So.
I have no clue. But I always thought about that a lot. I don't know why, but it always helped me if I'm like about to do some big thing.
Yeah.
Like a big, like just something simple like a presentation
Mhm.
that in front of a big group of people. I'm like, all right, hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
I feel like I personally have gone through that exact quote recently. Not gonna say why, but
Yeah.
um,
Personal reasons. But yeah.
yeah, personal reasons. I was hoping for the best, but I prepared for the worst, and the worst happened. But honestly, you just gotta, get through it.
Yeah.
Do your best.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Gotta push through.
Yeah.
What about you, Dalen?
What about you?
I don't know. Sort of. Let me think.
Yeah,
Because
this is
not
it's
easy, is it?
it's a hard question, obviously.
yeah. Now you know how we were feeling when you asked it.
I mean, yeah, it was my goal to put you guys on the spot. We're on a podcast, so I'm not here to give you guys like softballs.
Yeah,
We're here to have some
what's
nice
your
deep
favorite
conversation.
color?
Yeah, I'm not.
That's quite the
Yeah.
conversation, I can tell
Oh
you.
yeah, riveting conversation that. But I don't know. I think sort of grasping optimism for me was like the hardest thing for me to learn personally. Which
How
I don't
so?
I don't know if that sounds kind of weird. So, like I said, I was never captain self-esteem or whatever. Like I've always been pretty hard on myself. So, like even whenever like I would do great, I could like ace a test or something, I'd be like, I could do better. And I think, part of it comes from my upbringing. My parents are kind of hard on me, but
Yeah.
because I'd be like, Mom, look, I got a 100, and they're like, oh, why didn't you get a 105 or something? And I'm like, well, there's no multiple choice, like extra credit or whatever. And they're like, we don't care, do better. And I'm like, all right. So like for the longest time, it's like I could do perfect, completely perfect, and then I would just take my victories away from myself, sort of, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
I'd kind of just I got a 100, but like I could have done this better. Like I remember, this made me really sad because I was thinking back on this. Like it was a while back, but I remember I think it was sometime during middle school. We did like a robot project or something, right?
Oh
And
yeah, I
so
remember that.
I remember we
yeah.
aced ours because I think I'm pretty sure we aced it, and like I think Aiden, friend of the show, was my partner or something like that, and like our design was fine. It worked. It got us an A, and it worked pretty well, honestly. Like looking back on it, at least I think so. It was a long time ago, but like I just remember I was like, Aiden was like, "Man, we did a great job," and I was like, "Yeah, but we could have fixed this and fixed this," and he's like, "Oh yeah, I guess," and I was like, why did I do that?" And so I think like I don't know, letting myself sort of enjoy the moment. I think that's what I'm getting at. That was a long-winded answer, but yeah, I think
Yeah.
just letting myself sort of, I don't know, enjoy the moment is one of the hardest lessons that I personally have had to learn. But
Yeah, you really just gotta take in the small things of life.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like it.
The little victories.
Yeah.
it's all in the little ones because you know life comes at you fast and it can hit you hard. So it's like you can't win them all.
It really
So
does.
you really just have to enjoy the little things while they last.
Yeah.
And then just
Like-
sort of let everything else go with the tides, I guess. As depressing as that sounds. But
Don't get me wrong. The big things, extremely enjoyable, but it's
Yeah.
really the
Yeah.
little things that really like makes you want to just like keep going and work for them. I guess you could say.
yeah. So just bouncing off of that, since I was talking about failure. Curious what your take on this is. There was I don't remember who said it, but I was having a conversation with them. They were asking me if I thought failure was better than not trying. And I'll give my answer in a minute, but I want to hear sort of what you guys think about that. Is failure better than not trying?
Failure
Um,
better than trying?
Not
I think
trying.
trying is always.
Not trying.
Oh, not trying.
Yeah. Is it better to just give up at the start line or fail at the finish?
Well, obviously, I think failure is better because you're at least giving it a shot. It's not like you're just being like, nope. But you're actually like giving it that shot because you don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
You know?
Very true.
I agree.
Great. You never know.
Obviously, whenever you're doing something, you want to shoot for success, but there's always the chance of failure. And I think you should always just try your hardest, even if you don't like do well, because you will have a moment to redeem yourself, hopefully.
Hmm.
That's my take on it. What about you?
That was basically my answer was essentially a mix of both of yours. I don't know. I'm a big believer in sort of fighting to the finish, I guess. So it's like even if it doesn't look like it's gonna work out, I'm just gonna keep at it until the bitter end, basically. So,
Yeah.
and plus, even if you're not successful on your first go or whatever, you can always learn from the experience and then hit it harder the next time. Like that is just always an option.
I can relate that to running in cross country
Go ahead.
because I wasn't the fastest of kids
Mhm.
because knee pain is a problem for those of you that don't know. um, but I would always try my best, even like just pushing through the pain. And then my dad's like, "You're so close to getting your PR, which is your personal record,"
Mhm.
and he's like, "Oh, you're off by a little." I'm like, "Yeah, but it. I always knew like I had another opportunity to do my best."
Yeah. I think that's a good sort of takeaway message here because we've been recording for a minute, so we're gonna cut it off pretty soon. But yeah, I think that's a good sort of mentality of just like you just got to keep working at it until you get there because like we said, life comes at you hard, life comes at you fast, and sometimes you just gotta kind of roll with the punches.
You really do.
Alrighty. I think at that we're gonna cap off our episode here. Thank you so much for joining me today, gentlemen. If you guys
Yeah, thank you.
have been enjoying the podcast at home, feel free to subscribe, leave a like if you're watching this on YouTube, or rate us 5 stars on whatever podcast streaming service you're listening to this to. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been the Sadpad.